Somebody wants to go on the zoning board is all I'm gonna say.
Well, let's put it on the agenda, zoning board issue.
Yep.
Got it.
Issue might be a dramatic word for that, but zoning board. Anything else?
And we need one more, we can talk about that.
Yep. All right. Anything else? All right. Appraisal hearing for the properties.
That is a formality. All of the political subdivisions that have property that's being foreclosed upon for non-payment of taxes are invited to this meeting if they want to come in and dispute any of the valuations, which are taxes due. We don't change it beyond that. They would need to be present here today. They were all notified, and none of them are here, so you may.
All right, well, let's move on.
How many are we looking at?
There is a deal, it's on the agenda here, but there is a deal in your packet, it's down towards the bottom. If they were here, obviously, we pull that up and we take it up at the top, but it's later in the
Down the road.
so.
Okay.
I think there's quite a few, but they're all mostly a bunch of empty lots, right?
I counted
There's 3 structures, everything else is an empty lot.
None of them got paid up recently, right?
No, not yet, and they do have until 9:59 a.m. on the 19th of this month to do that, but I don't foresee that occurring in any case.
But now they have to pay all the back, right?
Yeah, now, if you'd have came in, you could have just paid the 2021s if you did it before the end of the day on October 1st, and now you gotta pay the 3 years that are due plus
Next year.
next year's as well.
Yeah, it's a,
You know what? And in the past, that's happened more times than you think.
Really?
Yep, on the last day, someone will come in, and the house in Harvey was that way here just a couple years ago.
wasn't all what Kurt Lamb was doing.
Well, that was.
That was the last day.
Right.
And he paid it all up, which you wouldn't expect, but some things we'll never figure out. Motion to approve the October meeting minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Brian, second. Second by other Brian. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Motion to approve the special meeting minutes on the 9th of October.
So moved.
Moved by Boone, second.
Second.
Second by Doc. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed, carried. Time sheets. Anything out of the ordinary, Dan?
Nothing horribly unusual. Brent, there is some stuff I want to visit with you about regarding that, but it doesn't need to
Okay.
be at this particular point in time. So.
Okay. Bills. We didn't get any bills, I mean, looking at the bills now, no bills for the Highway 5 project yet?
Well, we're still waiting on the some of the engineering fees, but the big portion of that to the construction company in Knife River, right, was
Yes.
paid last month. So if you look on your balance sheet, which we'll get to in a moment, you see the $1.7 million under House Bill 1066, that money there. So I think that would have been in last month's Knife River.
I saw one for 19,000.
And that's probably engineering fees. So that's,
Well, I didn't see any engineering. I kind of looked through this morning. I didn't think I saw any engineering.
Under 911, that one.
Oh, under 911, yeah, state radio is 19,000. That's normal.
And that just gets higher every year.
I'm just curious.
and it is.
What page is the Knife River one?
That
That
quarter
was-
is none.
That was
I
last.
think
That was
would've
one
been
last.
Oh, that was last, yeah, okay, no wonder I can't find it.
Because I feel like we paid them like a couple days after the project was completed.
I had one here. No, I can't find it.
Was there a bill for that shingle repair on the,
We paid that also.
was that last month, Bill?
That might have been last month. It's all running together at this point, but I don't think that's in here, but yeah, that's been.
Oh, yeah, here's the one. Under the highway tax on the last page, what's power plant for 8,500? Last page, flip it way over. Flip it, backside. Power plant.
Power plant,
I've never-
yes.
Is that with RDO?
Is that,
That's RDO.
Warranty stuff.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think we have something with RDO for power plant for filters and things like that we get for our John Deeres. But I don't quote me on that. I'm not sure.
That's for only 2 blades?
We got 4 John Deeres.
Oh, 4, okay.
Yeah,
With the loader too.
and the loader.
I mean, it's $8,500, that's why I'm wondering if that's more than just,
I can go find out with Renee quick.
wow. That's
But I believe that is RDO. They have a salesman come around, or not a salesman, sorry. A gentleman that comes around to the Harvey shop once a month. They'll top off oil in our totes. They'll top off DEF fluid once in a while at Harvey. They'll bring filters, spare glass for the John Deere blades, stuff like that. And I believe that goes on to what's called a power plant.
Okay. So this is like a yearly fee.
I do believe so, yes. Renee is the one that always deals with it, but I believe that power plant is RDO.
Okay.
That'd be for 5 implements.
For 5 machines, correct.
Well, yeah, that sounds logical. All right, any other questions on the bills? Hearing none, motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Doc, second.
Second.
Second by Brian. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Balance sheet, Dan.
1 second here.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, just taking a look at the balance sheet, as I've already kind of pointed out, if you go in the House Bill 1066 line, which is about 7 or 8 down, you see there's still $250,000 sitting there. That'll mostly be eaten up by engineering fees. What is left of that, obviously, we don't have to necessarily have it quote unquote spent by the end of at the end of our fiscal year, which is December 31st, but I still have to file a report. And I think what I am going to do is we'll do some journal entries to move culverts that we have purchased in the last 2 years.
Right.
2 years. We'll stick to 2024, but we could have put stuff on there for the last 2 years. We will shift some of those funds to there, which means it's more or less just a computer switching of funds that you're utilizing for that, so that we can account for all of that money being spent. And of course, completing that report is necessary in order to qualify for funds the next time around, which will be there. I expect in the first couple of months of 2025 that we will get a similar payment from the state of North Dakota for prairie dog funds. So there are still, again, $250,000 sitting there, but most of that will be eaten away by engineering fees. I have asked them, actually more than once, to submit their bills to us so we can just be done with this. They sure take their sweet time away, whatever. But anyway, that is what the plan is there. Sliding down a little bit, road department, shows now $951,000 in the red. The good news is the monthly hemorrhage is starting to slow. Okay, it's down to $56,000 this last month. The last several months has started with a 6. But the pace thus far is not enough, and we're gonna have to continue to do better in this particular area. There's just no way. The only thing you can do is you're basically robbing Peter to pay Paul here, and you need to know and understand that. Other than that, same thing is occurring a little bit with the county agent fund. It's just not enough to cover the expenses of that office at this particular point in time. And when that was put in place, obviously you have a finite amount of mills that you can ask for, and we're not at that. We're right there basically. So same thing is occurring. When this was set up, our valuation of our property has not kept pace with the valuation of employees and supplies and things of that nature. So that's always going to be a circumstance, and that's why you see that there. Overall, I feel like we're probably in a fairly decent spot, not a great spot, but we're in a fairly decent spot. And as we have talked about here, we're going to start to, the townships are going to pay a nominal fee, and I call it a nominal fee. $100 a mile is what we've talked about. In 2025, obviously, that will help to ease that pain there, but we still have other things that we have to do. And if the conversation at any point in the year 25 is about new equipment, I think 2026 at the very earliest is when you can conceivably do that. We have a lot of catching up to do here, and it's important to know and understand that. We can transfer from, is there any questions that you have right now on the balance sheet? One other thing before we do move on to the investments that we have and county-controlled funds and so on, I will tell you the final payment has been made to all political subdivisions, so all the townships, fire departments, ambulance districts, school districts, the cities, etc., have all received their final payment for 2025. So when we get here, you'll understand exactly what the dollar figures are that you have to float you through the rest of 2024. Wow. And tax revenue will start to come in. Thank goodness, sometime in December. Most of it will come in January and early February, and some of it will start to come in December. So from the standpoint of being able to pay your bills and so on and so forth, dire circumstances. Okay.
Saying that all political subdivisions have been paid, I see on the category of townships, there's 129,000 there yet.
Well, this is written at the end of October when they cut off.
Oh.
So
you've done that since then?
Yep. So
okay.
They were
so that
paid
129 isn't today?
On the 1st of November, that stuff was all paid out.
Okay,
so
right.
The stuff that you see down here at the bottom, that's now gone. If you look up at the top, it says October 2024.
Well, right.
And you cut off right at the end of a month. They pick a day between the treasurer and my deputy. They cut off, and all the bills would be inclusive. So the bills that you just approved, that's not in there. Those are getting paid today.
Right.
So, okay?
Yep.
So turning the page here to our CDs, that's the lowest level of CD investments we've had in quite some time. Obviously, we cashed out the money to pay for the 7 miles of resurfaced road that we have over east of Harvey. We also moved some funds from FIBT to Dakota Heritage Bank simply because the rate was enough to make a difference better at DHB. So right now we've only got money in CDs at First State Bank and Dakota Heritage Bank. And those CD funds there are totally going to stay there, and I anticipate obviously the 1st of January we will put some more money into a CD, and we'll get back to a level that you've been accustomed to over the course of time. And if we should be so blessed to get, as soon as we get our revenue on prairie dog funds, we're going to have some expenses next summer on that, and that would be the Hamburg Slough area that I'm sure is going to consume at least half of those prairie dog funds. Our next allocation, at least half. That'll be $1 million, I'm sure.
So Jason didn't think it would be, but after it's all said and done.
Oh, I think when it's all said and done, it'll be $1 million, and that'll be half of your allocation. So that means for the next 18 months after that, you'll have maybe $1 million or thereabouts to do some kind of similar infrastructure project. And because it'll be the same thing 2 years later, you'll have to file a report to be eligible again in 2027. And by the way, 2027 is when you'll finally come out of Hawk for your Bremen project and your highway department funds. So,
with that being said, we get Hamburg done. We should prioritize what's next.
you have to prioritize. You have to sit down and talk about, and that would involve Brent obviously, as well as yourself, assuming you're still the guy that has that as your portfolio, to prioritize what we are looking at, not only in 2025, but probably also a little bit towards 2026. And
Right.
try to have some kind of ongoing short-term to long-term plan of what your priorities are. And when you look at the circumstance on the balance sheet there, those negative numbers, that's what happens when you don't have a list that you're working towards, and you just kind of hodgepodging your way around some things. So, anyway, I don't feel great, but I feel good about where we're at, and obviously if we can continue to hold the line a little bit and get the townships making a contribution and so on, I think we'll resurrect and work our way back towards a better number on these sheets.
Are we going to meet with townships again, or are you just gonna add this
Well,
bill in, or what?
at this particular point in time, we will not be sending them a bill. We will talk about this when we have our annual
Yeah.
township
Yeah.
officers meeting.
Okay.
I don't anticipate the payment is going to come until probably next year, either in the summer or the fall, but we will talk about it at that Township Officers Association meeting. There's nobody can show up there and say, what is this? I've never heard anything about it. They all are aware. They know this. And
Well,
I think $100 a mile helps. Our bottom line is reasonable and fair, and I don't think they, if we walked in there and said 200 or 250, yeah, you'd see some jaws drop to the floor. But $100 a mile is in every one
Well,
of their
there's
budgets.
such a disparity in townships. There's some that could $500-600 a mile and
Absolutely.
not bother them at all. And there are some that 100's gonna be tough for them.
So can we make it that the ones that want to contribute more, I mean, do you have to make it the same across the board, or the ones that want to, I mean, do you
I
think
think
what
we
I'm
talked
saying?
about
I mean,
that on the way down.
I think
There is only equity in road miles. That's the only equitable solution.
I mean, I'm just,
I know what
I
you're
know,
saying.
I don't
We
even know if
talked
that's
about that.
legal or, But because here's the thing, and I summarized it within those 9 meetings we had. If you go from Pheasant east and north, no one would have problems with 200 or 250 a mile. If you go from Highway 200 south, from Hertzfield to Sykeston, them poor guys down there.
Well, Brian spends all the money down there.
No, nobody's got any money down
You know,
there.
and
No, not a lot.
But,
No, they don't.
they've got other things, they got flooding a lot. You got that takes
That's
a
the
lot of
big
money.
main
thing.
problem.
that's the main thing.
And that-
There's
you
been
don't
so
have
much
that
water
piece of-
damage done south
Yeah.
of 200.
Now you got a road that's underwater and you gotta build it up. Well, that's a township issue, so now you gotta get someone to do that and you gotta spend 40 grand.
That's
In my,
all of it.
in my
That's all of
opinion,
it. Right.
in my opinion, I don't think 100 is enough.
Well, I don't think so either, and
Gotta start somewhere though.
There has to be a soft landing in this.
Yep.
And I do, based on those meetings that we had, and even before we went to the meeting, if we don't do or make an effort on our end, and they're asked to make a huge effort on their end, you will never hear the end of it.
No.
But if we can do our job on one end and ask them to politely do their job on their end, I think this will work and work well. The number one thing that we have to do, other than, be conscientious about the money that we're spending, there has to be a little bit of a public relations campaign on our end of things, and they have to feel good about the service that they're getting, which a lot of them do, but we all know that some of them do not either.
Well, I was gonna run up, along that line, just not too long ago, I've had a couple people compliment us on having those information meetings.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
they
that's a
did reach out to a lot of people,
but
and that was a good thing.
let's stop this conversation and we'll continue it when Brent's here.
It'll get pretty long then.
I didn't even bring it up, Brent. I mean, we're just to stay into, I mean, it's good discussion, don't get me
There are
wrong.
concerns, but with that, I can bring forward at another time. When it's my turn.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because
so-
we're delving into that.
Yeah.
So looking at this sheet right now, Obviously, you see your House bill money is down significantly, and that's for obvious reasons. We spent $1.7 million regarding that highway. So right now, there are, $3.533 million that is in the control of the commission. 2.283 million of that is in CDs. That leaves you $1.25 million basically to get you through the final 2 months of the calendar year. That includes the payments that went out to the political subs. That includes your December and your November payrolls and so on. So this is not going to be but a little over $500,000 when it's all said and done, when this year comes to a close. That's getting kind of thin, okay?
I got one other question. Is it still time for dumb question?
Yeah.
Are all the townships, they get the equal amount of payment?
It's all on road miles.
It is part of what they get from the state is based on equality, and part of what they get is based on miles, so there's inequality. But our payments to them is based on their mill rates, what we actually pay them. So no, there's no equity in valuation. There's also no equity in what they assess for mill rates. You've got those that are at 18, you got one that's at 5, and the average is somewhere between 12 and 13.
Right. And there's some that are maxed and there's some that are not.
Or under 10.
Yep.
After
I guess
having
that
all
would-
those meetings, did anybody talk about raising their mills?
Some did go to the max. One went close to the max and then called back later, I'm sure, after preliminary tax statements went out, and called back and said, no, you better not do that. So they backed it back down, and so, the difference between a township and any other political subdivision is there's so few people that when you take the township board, there isn't a lot of people left, and okay, so all they do kind of is answer to themselves.
Right.
So, but that being said, so that $1.25 million, $1.250 million that you have, that's gonna certainly shrink in half, no less, before this calendar year is over. So keep that number in mind when you start thinking about what kind of a cushion you have when the year comes to an end. That's it. So for example, and I'm going to pick on Brent because he's the easy target because he has a big ticket item. If he was sitting before you right now with a bid to buy a new blade, I would just tell you right now, unless one of you wants to write a check for the other $150,000, you couldn't pay for it right now. You couldn't. Not you would like to, but you couldn't. Okay? So keep that in mind. All right? Any other questions?
We need a motion to approve the securities, right?
No. The pledge securities you do.
No, the CD stuff, don't we have to?
Yes.
We need a motion for that too.
Made the motion.
Young Brian,
Second.
second by Doc, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. And then, pledge securities, Heritage Bank.
Obviously, the ones from First International is not relevant at this particular point in time, but there's more than enough pledge securities there to cover your deposits, CDs, and otherwise.
And just FYI, most of these places over pledge because if they take a pledge out, it costs them like $50 security wise. So they're probably over pledge knowing and hoping that they'll get a CD come January 1st. So it doesn't pay to lower it, raise it. Anyway, so, we need a motion for that. Motion to approve pledge securities.
I'll move.
Moved by Doc, seconded by Old Brian. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Correspondence.
Okay, only one piece of correspondence, and that is in your packet. It is a letter of support from District Judge Daniel Narum to the North Dakota Supreme Court in support of the Rural Attorney Recruitment Program, which Mr. Bronke was in here and visited with you about. So there's no action that's needed on your part at this particular point in time. That's just FYI.
Good that you did that, so, all right.
All right.
And then portfolios, Brian, young Brian.
Nothing new, I guess, that I've heard.
Okay. Boone?
I haven't heard nothing.
Okay. far as Jana's office is that, one elephant in the room there is, we should talk about this, because she doesn't certainly want to tackle this, and this has been going on for 3-4 years. Do you want someone, and it would probably be Vangard, to tackle the seed companies that are farmers? We've gone over this before. Brian, you maybe not, but 3-4 years ago, you know, there's some inequity right now. We'll use Leon, but proceed out there gets taxed at a commercial rate, okay? And I'll pick on my brother-in-law, James Mertz, Pioneer Seed Salesman, does not. That's never been assessed, and there's quite a few of those people in the county. I mean, there's Schaefer's, I think she has a list of, there's Paul Anderson sells seed. It's very difficult to assess what specifically, yeah. What do you want to do with that? Think about it. I mean, that's.
Well, you know as well as I do that once it starts going, some of them may decide they might not want to be in that anymore, so they're going to get taxed too much. I'm just saying, they got to know that they have to have some skin in the game too.
Well, right, it's really not fair right now that proceed gets taxed.
Right.
And across the road,
Yeah.
some guy doesn't. Anyway, yes,
Could I say something, it might be a suggestion on that?
briefly.
Just something to check about. As far as farmers are concerned, if you don't make more than half your income, you're exempt from real estate taxes. So if they're making more than half their income from seed sales, these guys out here don't farm, they just sell seed.
Right, you're talking about tax exemption for a primary residence. That isn't what I'm talking
It's
about.
buildings and everything, shops and everything,
Right,
as far as I've ever been
Right.
told, but just something to,
yep, okay. Other than that, I don't have anything. Doc, else?
It's business as usual, Brent will report.
Brian?
The annual fair board meeting will be November 12th. That's when the election is, if anybody's interested in going.
Next
Other than
Tuesday?
that, no. And they got the fairgrounds done, which is nice.
Oh, yeah, we had to drive through there.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, last bit of information before we turn the page from this. You're reminded that our December meeting, we will have a new election of officers and perhaps shuffle portfolios. Doesn't mean you have to, but that will take place at your next meeting
Right.
in December.
Talked about that coming
It's
down.
been 2 years, or do we do it every year?
Do it every year.
Okay, I thought we did every year.
And it doesn't, I think we're in the second year of everybody kept their same stuff with the exception, obviously, with a new commissioner.
Right, we didn't shuffle anything around, did we?
No.
Portfolio wise?
He pretty much you inherited.
Yeah,
most
no,
of Leon's.
yes.
I think 2024 was the first year Dennis has been. I think in 2023, Leon was my portfolio.
I kept my same, but some of you, rest of you shuffled.
I think
around.
Dennis has only been with the road department now all of 2024, haven't you, Dennis?
Yep.
I think so.
It seemed like 2 years,
Has
right?
he learned to operate a blade yet?
What's that?
Has he learned to operate a blade yet?
No, not yet. We're still working with him.
Okay.
Anybody can-
2 or 3 more workshops.
Don't you know, anybody can run a blade.
Good
I've
point.
never heard that.
You haven't?
All righty. 9 o'clock, right on time as far as,
I just got a text from him, he is not coming, so.
Chris?
We can move on to.
All right, Brent's here.
Okay, I don't know if all of you have been out there, but the bridge project over near Harvey is complete. The road was opened up Monday morning.
Sorta on Saturday.
Excuse me?
It was sorta open on Saturday.
Yeah, they were driving around barricades.
Yep.
But Tunheim finished up on Saturday. I spoke with Brian, the engineer, on Monday morning. Tunheim come down and got the rest of their equipment around noon or so on Monday. We picked up any extra barricades that we had on Monday morning. We also took down all the signs, the permanent signs that we had put up 2 years ago, the dead end signs, the closed road. We fixed a sign for the township. There were 6 more loads of gravel dumped on both downslopes